Hey everybody, it's Sean McCoy, host of the Come to the Table podcast, and this is a quick episode drop because there's a few things I want to talk about. A couple things to start out in the praise area and in just the excited area. We've had a lot of interaction I have with guests, with listeners that are now becoming guests. We're going to have some of them on the show. We've had a lot of organic emails and things like that of people contacting me that I don't even know and having some really, really great conversations as an aside to all this. And from that, have been able to engage in a handful of them and say, hey, why don't you come on the show yourself? And there's just been a really, really beautiful synergy there. So I just want to say that we're listening to you as well, responding to us, and we're encouraging everybody out there. If you hear something you like and you want to talk to us, do so. The door is open. We'd love to have a conversation with you. And then the second one is, this is supposed to be the day that we drop part 2 of the Jim Burgoon episode. And as happens in the podcasting world, that you sometimes you have technical difficulties. In some way, somehow, I managed to lose 3 episodes completely, one of which was part 2. So there isn't a part 2 at the moment. We're going to have to re-record that. The other guests have been really gracious and allowed for a reschedule. So we're going to do a part 2 to that, which it'll just have to work the way that it is. So sorry about the delay, but there is a part 2 coming. It won't be right after, but we'll make it work one way or the other. And the last one was, I wanted to talk about another feedback. We started an email distribution list to reach out and get people engaged and let people know what's going on. Just one of those distribution things. It's an automatic campaign, getting a heads up that, hey, this is happening. And I included a lot of people that I knew on that, friends of mine, people that I thought would be interested in hearing about it. And I got a reply back, and I want to talk about it. And the reply was, Sean, I didn't know you were doing a podcast. I just thought this was junk email. I think you're an incredibly good human being, but for me, to be very blunt, the tolerance for religion in church is quite low. That includes involving myself in discussions related to it. I have very strong opinions about religion, but I am no word magician, and engaging in conversations about it doesn't do any good. I just get frustrated and have zero understanding that still today, people can be so ignorant that they believe in those types of fairy tales. In Norway and many developed countries that don't use religion as part of political and personal power, religion has died out. So much power is linked to the crazy rhetoric of religion in the USA, so it may take a while for it to fade away here. I think religion is horrible for society, and it would be so much better to use other vehicles to show compassion, inclusion, and love. I think religion is a philosophy of exclusion and power sold as inclusion, love, and compassion. Thanks for including me, but at the moment, I'm not interested in engaging in those types of discussions. So this is a real email from somebody that I know personally. And there's no doubt that out there that this is a big part of it. This is a big part of all the things that we struggle with. This is a big part of the struggle that we have around just religion in general, and just getting along with, even if people have different ideas. We just tend to not understand what to do about it. And so the question I had for myself was, what do I do about this, and how do I respond? I did respond to my friend and just told him, look, I understand. And I really want people to understand that. If you're out there listening to this and you want to share what we're doing with a friend of yours and you're not sure how they're going to take it because you're worried about it being a faith-based podcast, or maybe they are somebody of faith and you're worried about them because it doesn't fit, whatever the deal is on this end of it, I want everybody to come to the table. I understand. I mean, we want that. I'd love for him still to come listen. But if he doesn't, that has to be okay. It has to be okay for some people not to come at this time. And maybe in due time they will, if enough of this happens and enough conversations happen where they realize that it's really not meant to push upon this. And that's one of the things I really wanted to let everybody know, is that there is no attempt here to try to evangelize or make people believe something. I really have kind of the opposite intention. I just happen to be coming from a position of faith as a person. That's just who I am. It's the most important part of my personality and and what I believe in. But I don't think that should keep me from having conversations with other people about other things, including my faith or theirs, or abortion or gun rights or aliens or cattle rent, whatever happens to be that we talk about. I just don't think that it has to be a reason to divide us. It can. Obviously there in that example it can be. But I don't want to force feed this down anybody's throat as well. The idea is to give this as a tool for people that are listening, and for those that could potentially listen, as an opportunity to see things in a different light. And I'm not talking about just Christianity. I'm talking about just human interaction and how we do that. To allow for somebody else to truly challenge what you're thinking and truly challenge what you know, and allow them to break that down. And I mean, it could be anything. That's really the topics that we have on here. How do you live with somebody who's bipolar? Like in Jim's case, how do you deal with out-of-body experiences? What is it like to be a woman? It isn't meant to come from that. 4 of our first 6 guests are not Christians. We're not doing this in that sense. It is always part of who I am, but it's not meant to be that only. And so, because my ultimate hope is both guests and listeners are just people who come to the table around this idea of just having a conversation. So I thought this would also serve as an opportunity for you guys and gals out there that are listening, that like what we're doing and trying to get, instead of having to listen to a full episode, maybe send them this. It's only going to be a couple of minutes long, and they can kind of hear a little bit about what we're talking about, get a little feedback from this end of it, so they can kind of see the temperament of it. What are we really trying to do? There is no attempt here, and I even had a conversation with a guest coming up this morning, or in the future. I had a conversation with him this morning about, he was a little bit concerned because of the nature of the subject, that, what was the intention, or how did I operate? And he listened to some episodes, because there are people out there that will actually take interviews and podcasts and splice them up and then kind of repackage them to show somebody in a certain light. And that goes against everything that we're trying to do here. I'm not trying to promote or not promote anything. I'm on a personal journey myself in terms of just understanding and listening, and what this podcast has done for me. And it's not that I have everything together. I don't. A lot of these podcasts have challenged me on a personal level in terms of what I think on so many different areas. And I think that that's okay. I think that's the beauty of being a person, and the beauty of what we're supposed to do from we call it evolution. You can call it progress. You can call it improvement. I really don't, whatever you want to call it, but it's just pushing that envelope and trying to figure out what to do. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there for everybody. Quick little episode. Nothing crazy going on, but if you want to share this with somebody to kind of let them know what we're about here and what we're trying to do, this might be a good little couple minutes for them to listen to. And then I encourage you that when we do this in the future, the real idea here isn't to proselytize. It isn't to evangelize. It's not to argue the merits of one argument versus another. I just haven't seen that do a lot of good. The idea is to have a conversation, let people talk, let them be heard, let him have his voice as well, even if it's something you don't necessarily agree with or even like. I hate that there's a part of him that feels that way. I wish he didn't, but he does, and so there it is. And so what do you do about it? That's the real question. I'm not going to stop being his friend. I'm not going to do the rest of that stuff, but how do we handle these situations is exactly what our podcast is about, giving a voice to everyone and letting them talk. Anyway, thanks for giving me a few minutes. Hope everyone's doing well. God bless, and we'll see y'all next episode.